Please be seated. Hello and welcome to CUCC on this beautiful morning. My name is Katie Mimnaugh and I speak for the trees. For those of you familiar with Dr. Seuss or who have been to the movies lately, you'll know I'm referring to the beloved children's story, The Lorax. I've heard mixed reviews about the movie, that it lays on the message too thick, but I loved it. I was emotionally moved. Campus ministry will not be surprised by that. For those of you who don't know me, I am a recent U of I grad, a member of campus ministry, and an environmental activist. If you haven't met me before, then I just haven't asked you to sign one of my petitions yet. Please come see me after the service. I've set up a table in the fellowship room with information from some great local environmental groups that you should definitely check out. Admittedly, when I was asked to give the sermon, I started thinking of all the excuses I could to get out of giving in. I hate public speaking. But when they told me the date, Earth Day, I thought, a whole room full of people who will have to listen to me. This could be excellent. So I'm not going to give you a guilt trip about turning off your lights or using faucet aerators or eating responsibly sourced seafood. What I am going to do is try to tell you my story and why my faith calls me to stand up for our Mother Earth each and every day. I don't want to guilt you, but rather inspire you so that you might know me a little better and why I care so deeply about the issues. I feel that Jesus calls to me to be an environmentalist, and I hope that you will hear this call too. I guess it all started when I was in the womb. My parents worked in Chicago but moved out to the suburbs to have a house with a yard. When they settled in Woodridge in 1979, most of the town was prairie. Over the years, they watched as the houses built up and the wilderness was pushed back. By 1986, our neighborhood had gone from a handful of residences to a network of winding streets and houses. The last bastion of open space was an area where a road abruptly met its match. It had remained untouched for years, but was now owned by a private company and set to be developed. The day came to clear out the land. Imagine the surprise of the bulldozer driver when he arrived on site his first day of work to find my mother, as much a nature nut as I, and a very pregnant woman chained to a tree that he was supposed to knock down. She made the front page of the Daily Herald, and after heated negotiations with a pretty peeved prenatal, plans for the area were postponed indefinitely. I do not consider myself a very religious person. My beliefs are cobbled together from several world traditions, but the Job passage we read today spoke to me. When I was 14, I stood at the top of a mountain and watched the sunset over the entire Yosemite Valley. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, the progression of colors and the quiet march of stars. It moved me to tears. I saw God that day. My undergrad experience was not particularly religious, but one of the best classes I ever took was Asian mythology with Professor Pandari Pandi. I love that name. I personally believe in karma and reincarnation, but the idea that if I do bad things, I will come back as a grasshopper is not why I choose to live a moral life or work on environmental issues. It is the idea that the grasshopper, even if it was a being that previously did something bad, is still innately a being. Perhaps it is trying to be the most moral grasshopper it can be. I believe that there is life in everything and that we are all connected in a web of existence. If one strand of that web is broken, the whole delicate balance is disrupted and the web cannot function. There is historical debate about a speech that Chief Seattle gave to the president in 1854. Several versions of this speech exist, but I want to read to you from an excerpt by Ted Perry of a letter that the chief supposedly wrote. The president in Washington sends word that he wishes to buy our land. But how can you buy or sell the sky, the land? The idea is strange to us. If we do not own the freshness of the air and the sparkle of the water, how can you buy them? Every part of the earth is sacred to my people. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every meadow, every humming insect, all are holy in the memory and experience of my people. We know the sap which courses through the trees as we know the blood that courses through our veins. We are part of the earth, and it is part of us. The perfumed flowers are our sisters. The bear, the deer, the great eagle, these are our brothers. The rocky crests, the dew in the meadow, the body heat of the pony, and the man all belong to the same family. The shining water that moves in the streams and rivers is not just water, but the blood of our ancestors. If you sell our land, you must remember that it is sacred. Each glossy reflection in the clear waters of the lakes tells of events and memories in the life of my people. The water's murmur is the voice of my father's father. The rivers are our brothers, they quench our thirst. They carry our canoes and feed our children. So you must give the rivers the kindness that you would give any brother. If we sell you our land, remember that the air is precious to us, that the air shares its spirit with all life that it supports. The wind that gave our grandfather his first breath also received his last sigh. The wind also gives our children the spirit of life. So if we sell you our land, you must keep it apart and sacred as a place where a man can go to taste the wind that is sweetened by the meadows. Will you teach your children what we have taught our children, that the earth is our mother? What befalls the earth befalls all sons of the earth. This we know, the earth does not belong to man, man belongs to the earth. All things are connected like the blood that unites us all. Man did not weave the web of life, he is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. One thing we know, our God is also your God. The earth is precious to him, and to harm the earth is to heap contempt on its creator. I try to live by these words every day of my life. When I asked my boyfriend where his recycling was the first time I went to his apartment, he told me he didn't have one because he just didn't really care about environmental stuff. I was pretty irate. I want my children to run through the forest, swim with the fish, hear the chirp of the birds, and be able to breathe fresh air. We have to care about environmental issues because the web of life is so delicate and we are on the brink of disaster. Scientists estimate that if we continue fishing at the same rate we are today, there will be almost no fish left in the sea by 2050. I have plenty more sobering facts for you, but I will save them for personal discussions. Brian has signed a lot of petitions and now has a recycling bin, which is why he remains my boyfriend. I'm still getting used to the conservative Republican part. So what can you do, you may be wondering? Maybe you already have reusable bags and recycle. For one, I would love to see this community as a whole become committed to addressing environmental issues. One way to do this is to become a part of a wonderful organization called Faith in Place. Faith in Place is made up over 900 congregations who are working to make their faith communities greener by addressing some or all of 4 key areas: energy, water, food, and policy. In the fellowship room, I've laid out a copy of a responsible water use curriculum that the Unitarian Universalist Church on Green Street uses to educate their children. Other congregations have done things like reduce energy usage, have had speakers come out and educate people on how to weatherize their house, become LEED certified buildings, or even started a community garden. If you are interested, please speak with me or with Leah when she gets back. There are also things you can do as an individual. I have brochures in the fellowship hall for the local chapter of the Sierra Club and Prairie Rivers Network, a non-for-profit working to protect people, fish, wildlife, and the health of our lakes and streams. I also have petitions you can sign to encourage the University of Illinois to stop investing its savings in coal and to ask Governor Quinn to end an education program we have for school children that gives a one-sided view of the coal industry. So forgive my rudimentary understanding of a beautiful and complex story, but in the Hindu tradition, Vishnu was resting asleep on a cobra. At the moment of creation, Vishnu wakes up and a lotus flower blooms out of his navel. Sitting on the flower is Brahma, or God, who creates the universe. All of creation is delicately balanced on the petals of a lotus, and we must respect and cherish our connection with the earth. My name is Katie, and I speak for the trees. In God's name, amen.